Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to Sister Wives with Mary Jane K. Today, I'll be breaking down Sister Wives Season 3, Episode 1, The Announcement. The episode opens with a quick reminder of what the Browns have been through. The whole family moved to Vegas. They have 4 separate homes, and it's a huge adjustment. And on top of that, Robin and Cody are expecting a baby, and they are keeping it a secret just between them until they can announce it to the family right after Robin ambushes Mary with the news mere moments before she has to host a family dinner at her home, which Robin plans on hijacking with her announcement. Mary has infertility issues, and she always dreamed of having lots of kids, but Mary struggled to have Leo, and later she had an unexpected surprise pregnancy that ended in a miscarriage. Leo also struggles with the fact that they don't have biological siblings like the rest of the Brown kids, and Robin has decided to come over early, minutes before the dinner starts, right before Mary is expecting guests, to tell Mary the news with love and compassion, as she puts it, to be sensitive to Mary while also not giving Mary any time to process it or to speak to Leo first. Robin expects to announce this news at Mary's dinner tonight at Mary's house. I think it was really insensitive how this was handled. A baby is a blessing and wonderful news, of course, but in a situation where Mary struggles and she wanted more kids so badly, and with the feelings of loss and grief with the miscarriage she had years after Leo, and with her feeling betrayed by her own body with these fertility issues, it takes a few moments, it takes time to process your emotions, because it probably hits Mary all over again each time there is a new baby in the family. I'm sure she's happy, I don't doubt that at all, but I could understand it being very emotional for Mary, and Mary feeling sad and being reminded that she can't have what she dreamed of and what she hoped for, despite wanting it so much and despite how hard you tried. And Robin should have given Mary more time to feel her feelings and process it, in my opinion. Robin should have given Mary that time before she announced it to the family, especially at Mary's house moments after Mary got the news, while she has to put on a smile and entertain the family. Robin plans to hijack Mary's dinner and make it all about her. Robin is worried how Mary will take the news because she always wanted to have more children, but her body won't allow her to have any more. So right before Mary's family dinner, Robin stops by to break the news. Robin hopes Mary takes the news okay, and she is really nervous. When Cody and Robin first found out that she was pregnant, they had a lot of talks about when to tell the family. Robin asked Cody if she should tell Mary first, and Cody agreed that would be best. Robin says the situation with Mary not being able to have more kids, other than Leo, calls for some extra sensitivity. So, Robin is telling Mary early because she is compassionate, full of empathy, but she's telling her just minutes before a family dinner party, expecting to announce it to the family there at Mary's party, or allowing Mary to process it or Leo to process it. Immediately after hearing the news, Mary had to host her dinner. She had no time to feel her feelings or go through the cycle that she experiences, the emotions that she experiences. I thought this was incredibly insensitive, to be honest, to tell Mary before she has guests over, and then for Robin to expect to announce the news immediately at Mary's house, at Mary's dinner, without giving Mary a little time and a little space. Robin needed Mary to know that she was going to be okay if Mary was sad. It's important to Robin to be able to tell Mary the news alone. Robin was super nervous and awkward, and she blurted out that she's expecting. And Mary smiled and said yay. And Robin lets Mary know she was so worried about telling her. She was really, really, really worried because she knows that it's hard for Mary. Mary is gracious and she lets Robin know she is excited for her. Mary says in confessional that with how sensitive Robin is, it didn't surprise Mary that Robin wanted to tell her one-on-one first. But Mary feels bad that it's an issue that affects her so much that people have to be so careful with her. Robin tells Mary she knows that this has been sort of a thing for her, and Mary acknowledges it definitely has been a thing for her. It's been a sore point for her. She admits in the past she has really struggled, and it's not ever that she has ever been upset at Janelle or Christine when they were pregnant, but Mary feels it's sad that she couldn't be pregnant herself. Robin says she knows that she would be sad if she was in Mary's shoes. Mary says it's something she has always wanted more of, and here she starts tearing up. But she tells Robin she doesn't feel like that with her. Mary insists she's really, really happy, and she thinks she has just gotten beyond that, beyond feeling bad that she can't have more kids. Mary says if it happened naturally ever for her to have more kids, it would be awesome and so weird, since Leo is almost 16. Mary says it would be like starting over all over again. Mary reiterates she doesn't have a problem at all, and she is really excited for Robin. Robin is overjoyed. She wants so much to share this with Mary, and she wants someone to sit there and look at cute baby stuff with. And Mary is down. Robin is about 6 weeks along. Robin lets Mary know she is planning on telling the family, and she asks Mary if she minds telling everyone at the dinner tonight. Mary looks displeased for a second, and then she smiles and she says, "Oh," and then, "Yeah," hesitantly. You can see she isn't ready yet. She still has to process, but Robin, the empath, hasn't detected the reluctance in Mary's response when she said, "Oh, yeah." Robin is thrilled. She lets Mary know her kids are going to be so excited. Imagine how Leo would feel when they wish that they had bio siblings from their mom. It's emotional for Leo. It's a sore spot for them being ambushed with this news. But Robin can only see herself and her excitement and how her kids will react. She didn't really give Mary a chance to communicate that she needed time to process. She asked if Mary minded if she announced it tonight at her dinner on camera without giving Mary the opportunity to have an option to say no without looking petty when there are lots of emotions for Mary to sort through. And I'm sure Mary would have liked to have this conversation with Cody and Leo first. Mary thinks all the kids will be super excited for Robin's news and that everyone will be really excited. Robin questions, "You think so?" And Mary assures Robin everyone will be thrilled. Mary says honestly, it kind of surprised her how much it didn't bother her. It surprised Mary how excited she really was about the news. Cody liked the idea of Robin telling Mary about the pregnancy first. He says Robin and Mary have such a close relationship, so it's an offering of friendship and kindness, and Cody thinks it's a cool idea. Mary and Robin are preparing food in the kitchen, and Mary lets Robin know she's really excited, and Robin is too. She wants to go baby clothes shopping so bad. She's overjoyed and relieved that Mary is so happy about the news. Robin is excited to find out if she's having a mini Cody or a mini Sabin. This is the first time Robin is getting to find out the baby's sex. She always wanted to find out first, but she never has. Mary would never want to find out. And Robin says she would think Mary of all people would want to know what sex her baby was for planning purposes. Mary acknowledges that's true. She's a planner, but she likes surprises. She loves them, in fact. And Robin loves surprises too. Aw, sisters. Cody arrives first and he asks how it went, and Mary smiles and everyone is giggly, and Mary hugs Cody. Robin explains that a baby is a physical manifestation, that there is an intimate relationship between a husband and his wives. A quick side note, Robin seems to love dragonflies. In the earlier scene at Mary's house, Robin had a huge tacky dragonfly necklace on, And in this scene, there is also a dragonfly on. This is a different dragonfly necklace. Robin also has a nasty cold sore. I don't understand why the Browns don't take supplements to help prevent it or get an antiviral. So during these apparently frequent outbreaks, they heal quickly and they don't flare up. Lots of people get cold sores, and there is a stigma that is attached to it that there shouldn't be. But there are natural supplements and amino acids like lysine to prevent them, or there are antivirals to clear up the cold sore before it turns into a huge mess on your face. I don't get why they don't do anything at all to help it. Robin says a wife in a plural family will put the idea of her husband having an intimate relationship with his wife completely out of her head. So when she is told her sister wife is pregnant, there is no way to not put the idea in their head anymore. It's there and it's always there. Janelle says it's just that a pregnancy is a confirmation of an actual full relationship with the other wife. It's amazing that the women can let their husband obviously do what they do in the bedroom with each wife, and they deal with that by refusing to even think of it. The way Cody refuses to even put himself in his wife's shoes when thinking of their feelings of jealousy and insecurity that come with the lifestyle. And then when a wife gets pregnant, the other wives can no longer ignore it, and it bothers them because being conscious of sex going on between a husband and his other wife and thinking of it and realizing that their husband has sex with their sister wife, it's not okay with them. Really deep down, they aren't okay with it. If they were fully okay with it, this little reminder of a pregnancy wouldn't bother them at all. It bothers them, and they shove that bother aside to live the lifestyle when they really aren't okay with it. So they just don't even think of sex like it doesn't exist. But they are reminded of it constantly, and they have to push it down to live the lifestyle each time a sister wife gets pregnant. It seems like a lot of ignoring things and shoving things down to live this way, because no one really becomes their best self overcoming the human weakness as the faith states. They just shove it down. It's never resolved, and it never just goes away. It seems like a constant struggle. And what do the women get? I understand they get a big family and they get into heaven if they believe in the faith, in the FLDS faith. They believe that way, then they believe they have to do this to get into heaven. But what is the lifestyle offering the women for all the suffering the lifestyle causes them? Because they can have a big family and a great relationship with their sisters with monogamy, and they can get into heaven too without dealing with a man who gives you a quarter of their time and a quarter of the family budget, and without all of the emotions and suffering and stress and mental gymnastics of polygamy. Not to mention the dynamics of all the intertwined relationships and the hierarchy within the family and the other struggles, whether financial or emotional. To me, it doesn't seem beneficial, and it doesn't seem like the healthiest way to live. To me, the husband seems overwhelmed, and the husband gets resentful, having to fill 4 times the expectations, emotionally, financially, communication-wise, and otherwise. The husband gets no time for himself. His time goes to his 4 wives and 20-plus kids with no time for themselves and constant turmoil in the family dynamics. And the wives get a quarter of their husband's time and energy and communication and money, and the kids as well get less. And the wives also have to be moms to large groups of kids and deal with the constant emotional struggles and insecurities all of the time. Is it worth living this way? Robin asks if Cody wants her to leave the room so he and Mary can kiss hello. Robin turns her head, and Cody and Mary kiss. Robin, Cody, and Mary are now discussing when Robin will make the announcement, because she doesn't know if she will be able to eat dinner. If they don't tell the family before they eat, Robin will be too nervous all through dinner. She won't be able to eat. Robin seems to want to be the star of the show, hijacking Mary's dinner. Mary hasn't even had time to process, and she is happy for Robin. I'm sure of that. But Mary seemed super hesitant in her answer. Her tone was unsure when Robin asked about announcing it at this dinner. Robin is now wanting to plan her announcement just right. Poor Mary doesn't get a minute alone or to even talk to Leo first when she has always been sad she never got a biological sibling. And this is a tough thing for Mary as well. She will smile and put on a brave face, and I'm sure she's happy for Robin, but also she has her own emotions to process. I'm sure each time a wife gets pregnant, she had a miscarriage as well. So she had her dream so close as a surprise only for it to be dashed. And so this can't be easy for Mary. And I think it was so insensitive of Robin to just hijack the dinner and also to not give Mary just some time to process on her own before the family arrives and before Robin wants to announce it immediately. It feels really insensitive to me. Also, if someone is planning a dinner for the family, it's not just rude to tell a person with infertility struggles about this right before that dinner, but also to intend to feel entitled to announce it and take over that person's event to make it all about you, for you, when this isn't your dinner. To me, it feels like Robin went in there wanting to announce it, and she didn't care that the party would become about her. It seems to me Robin didn't want to have to do her own dinner and the work of groceries and cooking and cleanup and organizing and getting the family together, and Mary had already slaved away. So for Robin, it was the perfect time, and she could avoid doing her own family announcement and all the work that comes with it. She's just stealing off of Mary and making Mary's dinner her announcement so she doesn't have to do that, in my opinion. Cody agrees they should make the announcement before dinner so Robin can eat in peace. Cody asks Mary if they are doing a buffet since all she has got are paper plates. Cody doesn't seem too pleased with that. His arms are crossed and he tells the cameras they're still moving in. If there were 21 plates to wash up, plus cutlery and cups and dishes and bowls and pots and pans, best believe the plates will be paper, and they will be eco-friendly, of course, but they will be paper. For that many people, there would be no way in hell I would be doing the dishes for hours. No way. Robin says there were huge butterflies in her stomach before the announcement. She didn't know how people were going to react. She didn't know how the kids were going to react or how Christine and Janelle were going to react. Cody orders everyone to gather up as soon as they head in the door. Chivalry is dead. Cody can't even take his wives' coats first. Cody awkwardly says it's so fun to all be in Mary's house, and he thinks it's the first time everyone has been there. And Christine says it's the first time they've had dinner there. Robin is tearing up. She says she was nervous and she wasn't really sure at the time, what to think. Cody announces before they have dinner, he wants to say that they are all gathered there for a special occasion. Cody announces that in 7.5 months, truly won't be the little one. Christine is feigning excitement. Aspen smiles. Addie looks blank. Leo looks sad. Janelle is barely smiling. McKelty looks pissed. The only ones excited were Christine, who was just being positive and enthusiastic for everyone else, and the little kids in the family. Cody tells Anna her mom is going to have a baby. And Robin immediately puts her hand to her face to keep her hair out of her eyes, and she starts crying. Hunter looks pissed. Christine gave Robin a hug first, and she congratulated her. Most of the older kids and adults looked frozen and displeased. Robin says when Christine came up to her bright and shiny and teary, she felt one down. Aurora is holding truly, and she announces this will be the greatest baby in Las Vegas. Logan says it'll be the first baby in Nevada. Logan hugged Robin, and it also looks like he also enjoys wearing Affliction button-ups just like his daddy. McKelty has a sad face, as Robin says she is hoping that everybody is okay with it. But Robin noticed a few of the older girls didn't say a thing. I think the older girls understand how insensitive it is to Leo, who struggles with their mom's infertility at this time and with not having bio siblings. Mary was told right before her party, and her party wasn't intended as a place to make this announcement. and Robin felt entitled to announce it, immediately hijacking the gathering, wanting the spotlight and the glory. Robin probably thought that it would make her more accepted in the family or make her integrate in the family more as an integral part of the family now that she was pregnant. She wanted the spotlight on her, but that gave no time for Mary to process her emotions, and it gave no time for Mary and Cody to talk to Leo in private to allow them to process too. I get Robin is happy for her news, and she should be. She wants everyone to be happy too. But this is a situation where people could be happier if Robin allowed time for Mary and Leo to process this first. But Robin was more concerned with wanting people to give her attention and to be happy for her than she was about the deep emotions Leo and Mary would feel. The family had just moved to Vegas. It wasn't really the best time to announce it yet. The kids were stressed and traumatized by the fear of the investigation and the move, and they were still adjusting, and everyone was struggling with this move. But Robin wanted all eyes on her and to be the center of things without considering everyone's feelings, in my opinion. It could have been much happier if Robin gave Leo and Mary time to process and the family just a little more time to adjust to Vegas. Robin says, Aspen and Maddie didn't smile. She noticed they didn't even want to look at her. They just looked down. They looked cold and stoic and displeased. And Robin felt, oh shoot, here she does her usual scrunched face where she apologizes to cameras for being about to cry. And Robin recalls Hunter wasn't saying much. And Robin looked up and it stung a little bit because she wasn't sure at the time what to think. And the camera pans to a very cold and pensive Janelle. She looks very stoic and displeased as well. Mary recounts that she looked around after the announcement and she noticed Leo wasn't there, and Mary had a feeling she knew why. Mary went upstairs and Leo was in their bathroom crying and struggling with the news. Cody joins Mary and Leo in the bathroom. Leo is sobbing and Mary explains to Cody that Leo has emotions and they don't know what to do with them. Cody hugs Leo and Mary explains that Leo was having a hard time, not with the fact that Robin was pregnant, but with the fact that their mom isn't able to get pregnant herself. Leo tells their mom it's so sad and you can see the pain in their eyes. Imagine if Robin told Mary a few days before or a week before, and then Cody and Mary talked to Leo and went through processing her emotions, and Leo went through her emotions and Mary went through her emotions, and then Robin announced the news. And not at a dinner she hijacked, knowing she just told the host, who is like a sister to her, who struggles with her own infertility and the betrayal of her body each time there is a new baby, who now has to host the family. Robin also ambushed Leo with it when Leo struggles with her mom's infertility as well, and she desperately wants a biological sibling, and this is painful for them. This was so rude and insensitive of Robin, but Robin only thinks of herself and what she wants. And she wanted a sentimental moment with all eyes on her, and she expected praise. And instead, she was like a tornado, not considering the feelings of others or how they might need time, or that it's rude to hijack another person's gathering with your announcement. Is this how you do your sister? Leo apologizes for crying, and they tell Mary they shouldn't be crying because it's really not sad. And Mary tells Leo she understands. Mary explains Leo has always wanted their mom to have another baby. Cody sends Robin to go check on Leo and Mary in the bathroom. Robin pops her head in and she asks, "You okay?" Robin asks Leo what's wrong, and they cry even more. And Robin asks if Leo is feeling their mama's pain, and Leo says yes. Maybe it would sting less if Robin gave Mary and Cody the appropriate space and time to talk to Leo privately to adjust to this news before the ambush. Robin hugs Leo and apologizes, and Leo apologizes as well. They're both hugging, they're both in tears. Mary tells Leo they will love this baby as much as they love truly. And Leo agrees, and they know they will. And Robin knows too. Robin says she was so happy about this baby that she was nervous about feeling sad about it, or other people in the family feeling sad about it. She says other people feeling sad about it was okay. It's okay for people to feel that way about the baby. It's okay for people to feel sad. But it's difficult for her to know that someone is having a hard time with something that is so wonderful to her. How about how difficult it is for Mary and Leo to have to experience this, and for Robin to magnify it by handling the news the way she did? And here she focuses on how it's okay for people to feel sad, but it's difficult for her that people have a hard time with something that makes her so happy. It's all about how their struggle and sadness about her news affects her when she handled it very insensitively. Everything is about her and how their sadness was difficult. She had a hard time accepting something that was so wonderful for her is something others have a hard time with, because it wasn't the effect she expected. She expected full praise and acceptance and congratulations. Not that Leo or Mary might struggle because it's so wonderful for her. She expects it to be wonderful for everyone. And it wasn't initially, especially because she handled it in a rude and inconsiderate way, in a very entitled and insensitive way, putting what she wants first without thinking about other people. She came to Mary's house planning to announce it at Mary's dinner. Did she ever once consider giving Mary time to talk to Leo with Cody as a family so it was easier on them? I thought Robin was an empath. That's what she claims, but she doesn't act that way. Robin knows now more than she ever has in her life how much children bind families together. So it is Robin asking the family, are you okay with me permanently being here as part of the family? Robin says they're all permanently bound now. Robin says when Janelle didn't say anything after her announcement and she didn't come up to Robin to congratulate her, Robin went to herself, okay, this is where Janelle is at and I have to be okay with that. Janelle explains Robin's announcement was not the reason she was in a bad place that day. Janelle says there has been a lot for her. There have been a lot of cultural changes and everything with the move. Her world is upside down with the move. Janelle starts to cry here in confessional, which we hardly see. And Christine interjects that the move has been the hardest on Janelle of all the wives. Christine says she was living at home, so the move hasn't changed her life that much or what she was doing that much. But the move has changed Janelle's life phenomenally. Janelle says she is no longer working in tears. She says the family is living with finite resources at this point. Janelle has always identified with her career, and that's a big part of her identity. Janelle's career has been a big part of her identity for a long time, and she no longer has something that keeps her away from the home or something that gives her something to be engaged in. Janelle feels like she is free falling, and she says she is struggling, and Mary looks concerned. Robin is tearing up. Janelle barely cries or shows emotions and her feelings. Here, she is being very open and vulnerable. She left her job, and that was her identity and her fulfillment in life. And here, so far in Vegas, Janelle has no job. She just has her home life, and that doesn't fulfill her. So Janelle has lost everything, and herself, and the drive that keeps her engaged with life and up and going. Work and Janelle's career is integral to Janelle's identity and purpose and sense of worth and fulfillment. And she lost that in this move. And she lost more than all of the other wives. Plus, she is the economist of the family and the financial planner. And she knows how financially stressed the family is. And she has no way to contribute if she isn't working. And I think Janelle is scared about the financial situation that the family is in. And she knows she has to be the one to figure out the dollars and cents to make it work. And it's a lot of pressure, especially while being depressed and sad and mourning what she had, and it's a heavy weight for Janelle. Janelle explains it's very hard on her and it's hard on their family. Hunter gets home from school and goes straight to his room, and Cody asks him to come here please, and Hunter marches on to his room, ignoring his dad. Janelle says Hunter is so far from himself, Janelle doesn't recognize him anymore. He's very withdrawn, he's depressed. He has a hard time relating to the kids in Vegas because they are so different culturally from where he is at. This is how traumatizing and stressful a move can be on a child. Cody demands Hunter come downstairs. He goes to his room every day after school, and he keeps to himself now. Cody lets Hunter know he talked to Robin's neighbor. Her husband has their boy in football, and it's going on right now. Hunter is drinking water, staring at the floor, not even looking at Cody. Hunter just sighs dismissively, and Janelle tells Hunter she thinks he should go to football. She tells him he's got to get out of his room. Cody tells Hunter it would be something to do. It would be the football he was playing back in Lehigh. Hunter shrugs his shoulders and he tells his dad he doesn't care as he walks away. Janelle explains Hunter is refusing all lifelines and everybody in the family feels the loss because Hunter is not himself. Hunter is digging through the fridge and Cody tells him to come sit down. And Hunter tells his dad he doesn't want to. Cody explains he just wants to talk to him and Hunter ignores Cody. Cody says dealing with teenagers is a real challenge because it doesn't seem like you get any feedback on whether you're doing it right or not. Hunter sits down at the table, and Cody asks Hunter if he will just sit and not live life. Hunter tells his dad in a low voice he doesn't want to play football anymore. And Cody asks Hunter why he wants to just fold here. He asks why Hunter wants to just give up. Hunter walks away and he says it's because he doesn't care. I don't think Hunter is choosing to fold or give up or withdraw because he wants to. I think Hunter is pissed and stressed and he's traumatized and he's going through a lot of emotions and he's very sad and he's probably upset at his dad and he probably doesn't fit in school in the same role he fit in back in Utah. In Utah, he was the star athlete. He was probably popular. And in Vegas, it's a whole new social system and he doesn't fit in the same place in the social hierarchy. And he misses his friends and he has a dad who is asking why he wants to give up when he is probably super traumatized and stressed and he feels a ton of resentment. And that will only multiply with someone asking why he wants to just give up. Robin asks Cody during confessional if he is frustrated with it. And Cody says sure, it frustrates him. Hunter won't even let him talk to him. Maddie tells her parents Hunter is like this all the time and it's really annoying. Cody looks pensively into space. It's clear he doesn't know what to do about Hunter. Now it's Sunday and everyone in the family is getting ready for church, to have church at Mary's house as a family. Logan explains even though they don't have a congregation anymore, still want to have church as a family, and it's a good family activity to do. Sometimes Logan honestly seems like a 50-year-old with some of the things he says, and he's rocking another tacky affliction button-up like father, like son. Janelle explains because they are so far from their community, they have to take extra effort to maintain the religious continuity in their family. Janelle is begging Maddie to please go to church, and Maddie tells Janelle she didn't realize church was this morning. She forgot. She doesn't really want to go. And Janelle begs her, asking honestly, please. Maddie reluctantly says fine, but she doesn't want to be there. Over at Christine's house, Christine announces they have half an hour. Gwendolyn says she doesn't look forward to going to church. Christine lets Gwen know she wants to see her face washed and her teeth brushed. Gwendolyn interrupts the list to let her mom know she's not going. Christine informs her she is going and it's not her choice. Her choice is her attitude, and that's it. Christine explains she wants to see Gwendolyn with shoes on right now, please, and she asks Gwen to get up and get it done. Mykelti insists she isn't going to church. Christine explains when they were getting ready for church and Mykelti didn't want to go, Christine tried her best to convince her and she talked to her about it. But in the end, Mykelti didn't want to go. Cody is at Mary's house on the phone with Christine, all dressed up to lead his family in prayer. And he tells Christine he heard from the kids that Mykelti isn't coming. Cody talks to Mykelti on the phone. He calls her up and she tells Cody she has a moral issue with him filming their Sunday service. Mykelti says it's a spiritual thing and God wouldn't want it filmed and put on TV. He wouldn't want the family service put on TV because it's sacred and personal. Mykelti doesn't think it's right to film it. Cody tells Mykelti he is glad that she is willing to express God's opinion, but he disagrees with her. Mykelti tells Cody that's his choice and this is hers not to attend. Mykelti tells Cody he thinks it's right, but she still thinks it's wrong. Cody says okay, and he says they will discuss it further later, but he gets where she is coming from. He thanks her, he tells her he loves her, and that he'll see her later. After the call, Cody tells viewers he has always told his kids to sell it to him if they want him to buy. Cody says he doesn't agree with Mykelti, but she did a good job of selling it. Cody says in the end, it's whatever. He will focus on the kids that are attending church and on the value of what they had control over. I don't know if Mykelti doesn't believe it's moral to film their church or not. She has a right to feel that way, but she probably, in my opinion, just didn't want to go, and she was smart enough to be the only one in the family who didn't want to go, who got to stay home. And she's the only one to get her way in not going by coming up with a reason Cody could not argue with. If he forced Mykelti when for her she says it's a moral issue, he would look like a huge dick. I love how he accused Mykelti of interpreting God's opinion when he himself is interpreting he believes to be God's opinion by living his lifestyle himself. Also find it interesting that Cody said whatever about Mykelti not going, and then he said he would focus on the kids who were there and on the value of what he had control over. So in a way, Cody is saying what he can control he values and what he can't control has less value to him. So that was an interesting way to put his feelings in terms of the value of what he can control and that there's no value in what he can't control. During the sermon, Cody says, faith is to believe in something that you don't necessarily see. Cody says the fact that they aren't going to church is a huge factor here. Cody says his kids always gripe about going to church, but he's trying to actually be more stable and regular about it. Cody feels he has to give them more because there is no church and congregation that they're meeting with. Theo is reading Bible passages for the family, and Cody says he doesn't believe there is a parent in the world who is religious that is not concerned about their child's spiritual welfare. Christine says since the kids don't have a venue anymore outside of their home, that's why the family makes it a priority to do things together, to have services together. It is so important to them. Since they've moved to Vegas, they have found that it's very important to find a social outlet for their teenagers. There is a local Presbyterian church that has a youth group, and the Browns are wanting to see if maybe their kids will integrate well into that youth group. They are hoping it will be accepted and that they won't be judged for their religious choices. Cody and the wives sit with Pastor Ray. Cody explains that they have moved away from their household of faith, their congregation, and he explains that their kids don't have an open venue besides school for making friends. So they are looking for a youth group that would be open and accepting. That is kids with values, with good values and similar values to theirs. Mary makes it clear that they aren't looking for a new church. They are just looking for fellowship for the kids and friendship. Pastor Ray says the youth group is a good group of loving and accepting kids. Cody says Pastor Ray was wonderful. His attitude was open and accepting. Pastor Ray says they don't condemn or judge polygamy. He explains it's not what they would choose as being the biblical way to live, but they want to be open to the family and the children, and they want to be there for what they can for the kids. Janelle says that's what they are looking for. They really need the fellowship for the kids. Christine interjects that she is really sorry. She tried to keep it in, but she doesn't feel right about this. Now, it's very interesting that Cody is concerned. He wants tolerance. He wants acceptance. He's worried that this church won't accept him. He goes to this church. They're willing to accept the kids. They're not going to condemn them for polygamy, but he's not okay with it, and Christine is not okay with it. So now they are not accepting the Presbyterian people who want to accept them because it's not their faith. So why are they even there? If they wanted a church to accept them, they found a church to accept the kids just to make friends in a youth group. And now they're the ones who are wasting this pastor's time after being accepted, saying, oh, they can't do it. It's not right for them. After Christine says she doesn't feel right about this, she explains this isn't their church. Christine apologizes to Pastor Ray. She explains it's no disrespect to him, but this is not their church. Christine feels they try to be open with their kids and tell them they have a world of opportunities. She reiterates she means no disrespect to Pastor Ray, but she says she made this analogy before and maybe it seems a bit harsh. But she feels it's like they're saying, here's the whole ocean. Choose where you want to go. Have whatever you want to. But they are saying, hey, go here with the sharks. We are going to show you the way. Christine explains she understands that they are looking for a social outlet, but she thinks it would be much more natural if the kids found it on their own. And she feels them paving the way to another church. She understands that moral-wise, they will be the same, but she wonders, where does it go from that? And Cody understands Christine's concern. Poor Pastor Ray. Shouldn't the Browns have discussed this before meeting with Pastor Ray? Mary interjects that they send their kids to public school, and to her, that's the same thing, but at least this is showing the kids a way with kids who may have the same or more similar standards. Janelle suggests to Cody that they table this discussion because it's a family discussion and Pastor Ray is sitting there just to open his church to them. Exactly. This conversation is so inappropriate in front of the pastor who is just there opening his youth group to the Brown kids as the Browns discuss if they should or shouldn't do this as a family. Pastor Ray says they are open, but this may not be the answer the Browns are looking for. Christine says since she walked into Pastor Ray's church, she just felt she was so out of her comfort zone. She felt wrong. Janelle says they need to discuss this more as a family. Cody decides tonight they will get back together and they will talk it out again. Cody thinks it was a wake-up call and it was an interesting experience to have the discussion as a family and to meet with Pastor Ray. Christine says Pastor Ray was a good man doing his best to embrace the weirdness of their lifestyle. It's interesting to me. The Browns want tolerance, even though no one has been intolerant so far. Even the pastor accepts them. And Christine had a problem for their kids to socialize with these youth group kids because the kids in their family might be led to that faith when they are complaining that the kids don't fit in because of the different morals in Vegas and the different cultures. And these kids have similar morals, and Christine is afraid that the kids will be influenced by the faith. And it's just about socializing the kids. So it's interesting that Christine can't do it because what if her kids change the direction of their faith just because they joined this Presbyterian youth group? So these Presbyterians are good enough morally to befriend the Brown kids, but she takes issue with her kids possibly wanting to be that faith. It's kind of hypocritical to want tolerance and then the pastor opens his youth group to the brown kids, but Christine can't do it because what if the kids might possibly get swayed by that faith? Gwendolyn isn't adjusting well to the move to Vegas, so Cody and Christine have a chat with her. Christine explains that Gwendolyn really liked the Utah house. She had a cool backyard, and Gwendolyn was always outside playing in their yard. Christine told Gwendolyn when they moved, they would be able to build her a backyard again. When they moved to the house, she thought, yay, we have a backyard. And Gwen went and she looked at the yard and it was just gravel. Christine says it's pathetic. Cody says it's a desert. Christine wants to get a freestanding pool so the little kids can come over and play there. Christine also wants to build Gwendolyn a playhouse. Christine and Cody are outside doing measurements for the yard. The pool has an 18-foot diameter and the yard is just 17 feet. Christine asks Cody to make it work. They dropped off a bunch of fine gravel and Cody lets cameras know this isn't just a pool, this is a whole project. Everyone is working hard on the yard and Christine announces they are having a family party tomorrow night in her new yard. Everyone is hurrying as fast as they can to get things done. Christine mentions projects never go quite as planned, and it's taking a little bit longer, even with Mary's help and Janelle's help with the kids. Where were Robin and her kids? I bet they'll make it to the party tomorrow, even though they aren't helping the family with Christine's yard today. Christine thinks the end product will be a lot better than she thought. Cody and the wives are sitting down to discuss Pastor Ray to come up with some sort of conclusion on what to do about the kids and their social network. Janelle liked Pastor Ray. Cody doesn't think the meeting with the pastor went so well. Cody says it wasn't realistic in any way for them. And Janelle disagrees. Janelle figures this youth group was just another venue to socialize for the kids. Cody thinks this was the wrong venue for them. And Cody tells Janelle going to any other faith besides theirs is where he feels like he draws the line. But he wants his wife's input. Janelle disagrees significantly. She tells Cody this is just a social thing. Cody thinks if they are going to provide a venue or a direction, then they should at least make it the LDS church. Won't the LDS church be less accepting? The LDS and the FLDS share a lot of the fundamental beliefs, but the LDS are vehemently opposed to the FLDS and especially the practice of polygamy. We know the LDS refused to accept Maddie and McKelty when they tried to convert because their parents were open polygamists in the FLDS, even when they themselves are not polygamists and they don't consider themselves FLDS. And both Maddie and McKelty married LDS men. We also know Janelle came from the LDS and her family and friends mostly shunned her after she married Cody. They wouldn't even acknowledge that Janelle and Cody were husband and wife. And Janelle was cornered by her LDS family when pregnant, and she was so uncomfortable with the religious intervention, she had to hide in a room upstairs while 8 months pregnant till Cody arrived to pick her up. We also know Ken, Cody's LDS friend, has issues with Cody's faith to the point where he told Cody to leave 3 of his wives and keep 1. So there is a huge rift between the FLDS and the LDS, and the LDS don't accept the FLDS. They consider them like a stain on their faith. And polygamy is a big time sin to the FLDS. There's a lot of history and bad blood between the LDS and the FLDS. So why is Cody picking a faith that won't accept him or his kids? And why is he picking a faith that condemns them? They share similar beliefs, but the LDS don't accept the FLDS. With the Presbyterians, their beliefs may be further apart, but they are willing to openly accept the brown kids. Janelle says the religious influence is secondary for her. She just needs somewhere for her teenagers to go to be able to hang out, especially Hunter. She just wants to find anything that Hunter will participate in. Mary says with them having a polygamous background, she doesn't know what church will accept their kids. Cody says he, for one, isn't willing to have his kids put in that place. Cody realizes it is very close-minded of him, and he realizes some of his wives may totally disagree with him. Janelle tells Cody she doesn't know what to say then because the discussion is closed, so she feels like in a democracy, she would be outvoted anyway. And Cody has now laid down the law, so she asks, what do I say to that? If Janelle feels her kids need to socialize and she is comfortable with it, she has her own household. I don't understand why, since Mary was good with it and Janelle was good with it, they can't put their kids there in the youth group with the Presbyterian Church. The wives who are uncomfortable with it can not have their kids join the youth group. If I was in that situation and I was one of the wives, I would let my kids go. I wouldn't go against what I want or what my kids want if I consult them and they're interested in this. Just because the other wives feel differently, these are my kids and it's not going to affect the other wives or their kids if my kids go to this Presbyterian youth group and theirs don't. So I don't really understand in this situation why each wife and each household can't just choose what they want. Cody decides his statement was a little close-minded. He says the wives can give him feedback. Janelle would be willing to run this by the 2 or 3 older kids whose opinion they trust. But she thinks if they bring their children in, they need to make sure that they know that the adults are of a differing opinion and they are looking for the kids' perspective if they are needing friends. And Cody agrees that they should meet with the kids tomorrow. The adults meet with the older kids to make an inquiry about what they want to do. Cody asks the kids if they are making friends. Kids say yes, they're making friends at school. And Robin asks if those kids have the same values as the Brown kids. Some kids say yes. Cody asks if the friends they are making have the same values that the parents want them to have. And some of the kids say yes. And Leo says no. McKelty says not all of the kids, but some of them do. Cody says they were hoping their kids would find friends that have the same moral standards. So they have been looking at the idea of introducing the kids to a social venue, like some church organization's youth group, for example. Janelle explains she is looking for the kids to find something to do in Vegas. Cody explains they went to a Presbyterian church and they spoke with Pastor Ray. Leo doesn't look impressed. Cody explains they talked to Pastor Ray about the kids joining the youth group, but frankly, he and the moms are divided on the issue. Cody explains that he personally doesn't like the idea of introducing the kids to another religion's youth group that's not much closer to their religion than the Presbyterian Church. Aspen asks, why not Mormons? And Logan asks, why not LDS? Cody says that's a great question. Mary explains this is the discussion they have been having. Cody says his biggest concern is that they could run into the same discrimination in Vegas from the LDS church that they did in Utah. Janelle explains she knows that she and Cody are on different wavelengths, but she is just wanting to hear what the kids' real opinions are. Cody says he considers himself to be extremely open-minded, but he grew up in a family where his social venue was completely Mormon. He's willing to look into this. Logan asks why they don't try going to both the LDS and the Presbyterian groups, and Janelle suggests why not go to all of the groups that interest them and try them all. Logan says he isn't necessarily interested in all of those venues, but he's not interested in being limited to only one venue. McKelty is totally cool with it. She's fine going to another church. Mary explains they have always taught their kids to be open, and Mary gets Janelle's point. Robin interjects that at a certain age, when the kids actually have their frontal lobe completely grown, then they can decide what religion they take. Mary says that's true. And Leo asks, what the heck is the frontal lobe? I think Robin believes because their brains are still developing now, if the kids are exposed to other faiths, they might somehow become indoctrinated by the exposure and not choose the FLDS faith as a result when they are adults. Interestingly, though, so far none of the Brown kids are going to be living the principle, and they're all grown except for Truly and Savannah, who is almost 18, and Robin's kids. Those are the only kids in the family I could see possibly choosing to live under the FLDS faith or possibly choosing to live polygamy at all. Maddie says Cody always told them that they could choose their church and they could be whatever they wanted to be. Robin says sternly they can choose their church when they are an adult and their brain is fully formed. Maddie responds to Robin with, well, I hate the church that I have right now. Then she says she doesn't hate it, but she just doesn't like it. And Cody says, oh, like he's shocked. And Maddie says she would prefer not to live it. Cody asks, what about Mormon church? And Maddie says no. Cody asks, really? And he's surprised. And Maddie says yes. She's pissed. Janelle asks Hunter if he's interested at all in socializing. And Hunter says no. Cody tells Maddie she checked out. And he asked if that is because she doesn't like this subject. And Maddie says yeah. And Janelle lets Cody know Maddie has given her opinion. Maddie sarcastically says, okay, I want to hang out with youth kids from another church. I think Maddie got pissed when Robin made the comment about the kids not being able to have any religious choice until they are adults, when all their lives, Mary, Christine, and Janelle have taught the kids they can choose what they want. And then Robin is coming in to give her input and torpedo everything when it's not really her concern. She's not the one that has older kids that are going to be joining the youth group. Mary asks Maddie if she just wants the opportunity to meet some new kids. And Maddie says sure, dismissively. Cody says he feels like they have made so much progress here. Logan says if the parents decide to put them in some youth activities, LDS or non-LDS, he doesn't care. If he could, he would attend. Cody says they will keep pursuing this. Maddie asks if they are done, and Cody is getting pissy. And he points at her and he says, we are done, with attitude. Janelle says there is a real fundamental difference here. Mary and Janelle feel they aren't doing anything but just giving the kids a social opportunity. And Christine, Robin, and Cody don't see it that way. Robin says she knows Janelle thinks it's just social, but it's just that they are sitting here killing themselves basically to live this life, to live this faith. They believe in this. So it's hard for her to sit here with the kids and say, oh, it's no big deal, when it is. It's huge for them to live this faith. And here Robin starts her tears and she asks Janelle, how can we not sit here and feel stronger about where they are leading their children? Janelle says they all have some very different opinions here and they could debate it and debate it and debate it. Cody says they have to be on the same page. Janelle says, for the sake of the family, she is more interested in keeping the peace. Mary says she and Janelle are thinking one way and Cody, Christine, and Robin are thinking another way. So it's a matter of finding that balance. Janelle agrees that she will not seek out this particular youth group. Janelle says they will be actively involved and facilitate things at their houses with the kids and their friends so they get a good read on who their friends are. Cody and Mary agree they need to tell Pastor Ray their decision. I am sure Pastor Ray is waiting with bated breath by the phone because the Browns are a really big deal. He may have already gotten the refreshments and the red carpet ready. He might have pulled out the good fruit punch for the ice cream social. It's best to let the man down easy. Over at Christine's, she explains they will be in that rental for a year and a half. So having a different yard set up and different things for the kids to do outside is huge. Christine wants her house to be a hangout house with a safe backyard for the kids to play in. Mary, Cody, and Christine are working on her yard. I believe Janelle is there too, and Mary does a time check to remind everyone they don't have tons of time. There are 3 hours before the party at Christine's house, and everything will be done except the pool. McKelty announces Robin is really showing in her shirt. Robin says the yard looks dang good. She is so weird and outdated. She says duh and yikes and dang, and she says bomb too. Like when she pointed out she makes bomb cheesecake and bomb lasagna. Cody is glad to have that pool for when July comes. Christine wanted the yard finished for a fun surprise for the little kids. They'll arrive in 10 minutes, so the older kids are decorating with balloons and streamers. The kids are thrilled. They are screaming when they see the pool filled with balloons and the playhouse. Christine is super happy with her yard. She says it looks like a cute oasis. And Janelle says it's a complete transformation. The kids love the yard. On Friday, Janelle is having a pool party for the older kids at her house. Mary suggests the family can use her pool sometimes too. She's just saying. Mary explains, since the adults decided not to get the kids involved in a church youth group as a social outlet, they wanted to do something fun for them, so the older kids are having their pool party at Janelle's house. Mary enjoyed meeting some of the teenagers' friends from school. Cody says it was important for them to see who their kids are hanging out with, what they are like, what their friends' personalities are like, and what their values are. Janelle is grilling enough chicken kebabs to feed an entire army. She says the kids have been making friends since the move, and now the weather is good and the kids wanted to have a party. And Janelle thinks this party marks the beginning of their kids' social lives in Vegas. Cody explains they are a pretty conservative family, so the fact that they are having a co-ed pool party was a little bit on the fringe for him. So they kept an eye on the kids. Cody was pleased with the party. He met a few of the parents. Mary says this is the first time that they are meeting the parents. One of the parents asks Cody, without any religious implications or anything, with the mixed genders in the pool, he asks if it fires up Cody being a dad having boys around the girls. Cody hasn't seen other boys come to the party yet, and he trusts Logan, he says. Cody thinks it's weird that Logan is in the pool with a bunch of girls. Mary says there are so many girls out there, it's all just girls and Logan. Mary says it looks like Logan is crashing a girl party. The parents jokes that Logan has a harem out there, and Cody tells her to be careful. That's not a harem, and Cody jokes that it's creepy, and she says Logan has a whole lot of girls surrounding him. Cody wonders if he should have let Logan come out of the pool. Cody asks Logan if he invited any guys to the party, and Logan says they haven't come yet. Hunter didn't want to come to the party. Janelle mentions that Hunter is up in his room. She doesn't know what he is doing. He refuses to calm down. They show Hunter playing a computer game in his room rather than attending the pool party. Janelle said she thought he was home. She doesn't know when Hunter left. And Christine reveals Hunter called her and he asked if he could please come over. He told Christine he would like to hang out with her and with Truly. And they show Hunter feeding Truly so sweetly. It's absolutely adorable. And he explains he isn't at the party because he doesn't want to be. The producer asks why not. And Hunter responds because he just doesn't. When you are depressed and heavy and sad and stressed, the last thing you want is people and a party. It's too much. You can't just snap out of it and be happy socializing. Socializing feels like hell, and it takes every bit of energy to put on a fake smile. So I can understand Hunter just wanted peace and he wanted a calm family vibe. And I can understand him wanting someone who will let him chill and just be as he is without pestering him too much, and truly is adorable and calm and pure love. So it probably made Hunter feel better to be there at Christine's. I feel like Janelle and Cody almost feel that Hunter is just being a brat and an asshole, just quitting. I don't think they fully understand why Hunter is withdrawing and becoming a recluse. And their attitude towards his depression doesn't help. Their lack of understanding of his emotions doesn't help. Saying things like, "Why do you want to give up?" or "I don't understand why he refuses to join the party," won't help him. It just shows they don't fully understand his emotions at this time or what he feels like. Christine thought she can have Hunter come over and she can talk to him, and that's okay. One thing I love about Christine is she lets the kids be as they are, and she accepts them, and she is open, and she communicates, and she seems to understand their emotions easily. And she has the ability to be nurturing and understand what each child needs from her, and that what each child needs is going to be different. She doesn't judge or criticize at all when it comes to the kids. Janelle thinks Christine stepping in is awesome because she doesn't think Christine is saying anything different than what she says to Hunter. Christine thinks truly is Hunter's best therapy, and it's pretty cheap therapy. Janelle says the kids are grappling with the way things work and the way life is, and when they hit a road bump, you want to fix it for them and tell them exactly what to do. But they're independent people. They are their own independent people, and they will only listen to you so much. So it's brilliant that Janelle has sister wives who can relate to her kids at times when they aren't willing to relate to her, she says. Robin says it's nice to see the kids making friends with people who are good kids. Cody says it was an interesting experience to see the kids naturally develop friendships. Janelle was impressed. She was surprised at the caliber of friends the kids have made. The pool party was fun, but Janelle is missing about 4 inches of water in her pool, so she thinks the kids must have had a good time. Cody liked the kids he met. They had good dispositions, and he liked that their parents were involved. But his kids are all still struggling with being in Vegas, so they still have a long way to go. That does it for this episode of Sister Wives with Mary Jane K. To my YouTube viewers, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you like. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next week for the next episode of my Sister Wives Rewatch, Season 3, Episode 2, Teen Sex Talk. And for the next episode of Seeking Sister Wife, and possibly my next episode of Book Club on Chapter 7 on Christine. I'll see you soon. Bye.